Jessica is the ultimate plant duelist. She's the last one left.
Literally, yeah.
And ultimate is yeah, second last.
Oh, do I just not know English?
Maybe.
I thought it was like the peak. Never mind. Okay, I don't know words. Anyway, apologies for the deck error on screen there. It is indeed Rika, or Sun Avalon, or Plant, or however you'd like to describe this deck. So not Purrely. But yeah, she's starting off with Princess. Or is that Petal?
It must be Petal, right? Because she's going into her deck. Yeah. Princess does not have an effect that lets you search.
Yeah,
so this is not the start that you want in the Rika deck. Normally you want to start with access to your Sunseed. But in this case, yeah, and I think normally you're either normal summoning the Sunseed or activating Unexpected Die to special summon it from the deck. But if you've summoned a monster, then you can't normal summon the Sunseed and you can't activate Unexpected Die anymore, so that probably means neither of those cards are present in Jess's hand. So she'll have to go a bit off-piste, which I'm sure she's well capable of doing.
In terms of the technical play and the lines and combos and stuff, she's genuinely like extremely well versed in this. You know, I had a small conversation with her this weekend, and yeah, it's just a complete fountain of knowledge of this deck. Some people just seem to like pick up a certain deck and they build this attachment to it, and they just learn it in every shape and form and facet. It's unbelievable just the level that people will dedicate to a specific archetype. So it's absolutely incredible to see it, you know, get rewarded, right? Like, you know, it rewards you for all that time, effort, and practice.
Yeah, it's great when it's like a deck that you can keep going. It's flown a bit under the radar. Obviously saw a Forbidden and Limited list be announced, and none of the changes were targeted at the Rika deck that I could see.
I tried to restrain myself from bringing that up, but I did notice and I did think that I wanted to point out was like, hey, we just had the new announcement of the Forbidden Limited list, and there isn't any Plant cards there. Everything gets weaker, and Plant gets, you know, gets to fly under the radar. So I'm sure she'll be pleased about that.
Oh, for sure. I mean, when you've got a deck that you really like and you really believe in, if other players aren't picking it up, it's not going to become popular. You're going to have an easier time because people aren't going to be prepared for it. So you're just kind of happy.
It's a bit of a weak start here, as that Ash Blossom was extremely clutch on that Glamour there. So Jess going to have to set to and pass, it looks like.
And just shuffling at the end of the turn. It's a shortcut players sometimes use. You don't need to shuffle your deck every time you search. If you only need to shuffle it if you're going to interact with the top of the deck, maybe by drawing or by milling a card or excavating a card, something like that. So it's reasonable.
I'm not sure if Michael has Engine here. Oh, there's a Rise Heart, but there's
Rise Heart is not good Engine. I see the best Engine, the Cyframe driver himself.
There's not much else here. Book of Moon coming down directly on the Rise Heart. Why do you think we use that immediately?
Maybe she doesn't want to see a card banished. I mean, maybe you're going to Book of Moon it. Maybe she's just sort of preempting a Theosis or something like that. I'm not sure 100% why you'd go for it straight away. Maybe, yeah, she just doesn't want its effect to be activated this turn. She wants to keep cards in her deck.
This is the point of Rika where I think it really shines, is if you can get into more of a grind game, then Petal is going to be able to special summon itself out every end phase and then, you know, get you a search every turn. So you're always going to have some sort of way to keep playing the game, especially since, you know, she's established Con, very underrated card. I can't, you know, I mean,
Con's crazy card, yeah, for sure.
I can't encourage just how amazing this field spell is, but
I mean, you were mentioning the Petal, right? That gets you a card back every turn, but the Con lets you set Rika spell trap every turn, and every turn as well, you can, if you would tribute a plant monster, you can tribute an opponent's monster instead. I'm not 100% sure if the monster can be face down when you tribute it. It might have to be face up. I'm not, but that'll be on the text of the card.
It will be on the text of the card.
So. If it doesn't say face up, then you can tribute anything.
So I think she might go for a Strenna here. Oh no, okay, she's going for the...
That's a Glamour, right? Adding 2 cards.
Yeah, right, we want that Loci for sure there.
Michael, I think, had a Book of Moon, so that should shut down too many shenanigans, but when your opponent's got to resolve their Con twice, it's looking a little uphill battle for Michael. Yeah.
Now, there's an interesting amount of defensive cards that Jessica's running here. She also is running Book of Moon, and I was just wondering for a moment there if she was going to chain Cross out, because she is playing a heavy sort of
cross out engine.
I guess you could call it that, but it's like one of like so many cards. You know, she's playing one of Ash, Nibiru. The books also work really well. And I suppose, yeah, you can also hit like things like draw, talents potentially. There's
She's also got a shifter in the side deck. So she
there
can
is a one-off shift.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I didn't actually pick that up.
It's kind of funny. I think like it is normally a downside to run like a lot of one-offs that you wouldn't necessarily want to include, but the reason people are including these cards in their deck is because they're powerful disruptive tools. So it's not like if you draw Nibiru, you're like, oh no, I've drawn Nibiru, like what am I going to do? Like obviously it has its purpose even if you draw it, even though its like main purpose is to be used with the crossout.
Yeah, that's the great advantage of the card in a hand trap heavy format. If your deck can facilitate hand traps, you know, you could potentially consider playing crossout alongside them, and yeah, it's got that beautiful crossover where if you draw crossout, you know, you're insulating yourself from your opponent's disruption. But if you draw those, you know, one-of cards like the Ash Blossom that Jessica's playing, then it's, you know, well, it's Ash Blossom. You're not going to complain about ashing your opponent's card, are you?
No, and for sure. And another interesting benefit is even though you don't get to choose like what, you know, normally people just like to play 3 of their favorite hand traps. But if you're running like a variety, it can make a difference to your opponent's plays, right? Because Nibiru, you'd play very differently around to like an Ash Blossom, for example. So you don't necessarily know what your opponent's going to have.
So it's a bit of a awkward and weird line that Jess has to go through here, but it's going to work out kind of fine actually, because this Jasmine, the Link 2 that she's going for here, is able to tribute a monster that it points to, special a plant out the deck, any plant, by the way.
Special a plant, any plant.
Yeah, and oh, enemy controller. All right, that's pretty strong. It will potentially disrupt Jess for this whole turn here, but it's.
I mean, yeah, if you disrupt your opponent for a turn, it doesn't matter if you don't have anything to follow up with.
Yeah,
right?
I think Michael's really gonna have to pick up a unicorn off the top of his deck here because he's really fallen far behind on engine pieces.
So I think passing over the deck means, yeah, Jessica's not searching anymore and she's about to end her
All right,
turn.
here we go. Is that a pressure planet or is that a birth?
I thought it was a Theosis, so between us we're completely useless.
It's a birth.
I think it was a birth.
No, I was
okay.
50% right, see? But this isn't very good though.
No, it really isn't. I mean, he's got, maybe he already had Theosis.
Oh, okay, right, yeah,
we've
we've got Theosis. All right, this is getting better, this is strong.
It's interesting because Jessica there, if she'd held the Book of Moon for just a minute, then the Theosis would have come down last turn and been shut down by
exactly.
by the Book of Moon, so the Theosis would just be in the graveyard.
Yeah.
And the trade-off for the Theosis being in the graveyard would be that your opponent would have got to banish a card from their deck and banish 3 of yours. So
I don't know, maybe she didn't want to lose 3 loci off the top or something.
Maybe in hindsight, you give. I mean, it's easy to say, like, there's always hindsight, like how the game's ended up, that it would be better that the Theosis wasn't there and you'd rather just let your opponent activate the effect, but I mean, obviously Jess has her reasons. She probably knows how to use a Book of Moon.
That's huge. That's huge. All right, we got Rika Sheet being activated here.
I'll tribute one of your monsters and take the other one, please.
Yeah, no, combining this with Con is really powerful. Now, normally just, you know, disrupting by stealing a card your opponent controls is like, I mean, that's powerful enough just by itself. But also attributing your opponent's other monster for cost is really, really good. And yeah, that's turn ending right there.
Yeah, I don't know if Michael's got any follow-up. Presumably he's not holding any Kashtira cards.
Is Sheet permanent? No, it's not.
No. I think they were just going through their sort of end phase effects. I think Jessica's allowed to do them in any order she likes, but...
Yeah, I guess I think that is correct. You can choose to, like, okay, resolve the effect of Sheet, which is the trade, and then you can choose to resolve the pedal. Oh, yeah. I suppose not, actually.
Is there some restriction on pedal that we're not aware of?
It's probably the wording of Sheet. I assume it probably says something along the lines of at the end of the turn, return it to your opponent or something, and then therefore at that point you can't use your pedal in the graveyard because it's the end of the turn, not the end of the phase.
It might be that she tried to use pedal when she had a non-plant monster in it. I'm not 100% sure.
Potentially.
But now we're, after 3 attempts...
I mean, it's not,
finally...
Yeah, it's not going to matter too much here because normal summon Loci into no disruption is... Yeah. Does she play like the... Yeah, okay. I think that's how you go through the typical OTK line. You want to go like Thrasher into Malayas, and that just gives you... I think that's just game by itself.
I mean, the only thing that Michael has going for him here is the fact that he's going to be able to use Birth to banish 3 cards from Jess's graveyard, but I don't think that's going to be quite enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just a case of navigating through 8,000 damage here. And it's interesting that neither player has done any damage this turn, but it doesn't really matter because, you know, you're sort of in this, I don't want to call it a stalemate, but, you know, you're in this tug of war between each other for a couple of turns, and then whoever, like, fully establishes the control, as Jess did last turn with the sheet, you're now just free to, like, absolutely pop off as your opponent has no more disruption. Is that a snowdrop we summoned, manipulating the level for Queen?
Snowdrop the Rika Queen.
Yeah.
Hang on, what's the Rika Queen called?
It's Rika Queen.
Is that just Rika Queen?
Oh my lord, Michael has drawn it again, by the way.
Michael point to Jessica to indicate that Jessica can go first?
Oh god, no. There's no way. There's no way.
He's looking confused. He's like, is this really...
Did I go first? Did who went first here?
Oh, maybe he just passed, actually. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, because I'm looking at his hand. I think I see a Scareclaw. I see a Psychic Soldier. I don't see a lot of engine here. This is really frustrating.
I mean, how many cards has Jessica got?
That's a Cosmic Cyclone, an Econ, a Scareclaw. I actually don't think he had... Oh, there's a Gamma, I suppose. Okay. So it's not like... I don't think we're going to lose this turn, because Gamma will be enough to survive, maybe, potentially.
I wasn't sure if he passed or if he chose to go second.
I didn't see Jess draw. Actually, let's see if she can spread her hand out here. Maybe we can count the number of cards. I want to say... Okay, it's too hard to tell. I'm actually not sure who started this duel here. But yeah, we're going to go...
Is that just... Oh, that's not fair. You Gamma the first one and she just summons another.
Wow, yeah, that just didn't do anything. Okay, Michael has Pot of Prosperity in his hand. 100% he must have let her start.
Yeah.
Unless you're holding Prosperity for
next game.
for next tournament.
Yeah.
Next year's Nationals. Yeah, so the reason why this was like basically just a -2 is that and it's a -2 because we got Gamma and Driver from the hand, by the way. Jess started with Unexpected Die with Specials Loci from the deck, and then summons the Link 1 Dryas, activates the effect, which is not once per turn. So when Gamma hits the Dryas, and you have a second Loci by normal summoning, you can go into Dryas again, and
just do full combo.
Do it again. Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering whether there's a lot of cards nowadays, you know, you can only use this effect once per turn, but Dryas not so much.
Yeah, no, it is not once per turn.
Okay.
Yeah, that's some of the older like Sun Avalon combos. You would go down a path of like searching again from Dryas. It only searches when it's summoned into the extra monster zone, so you have to do some different lines historically. But you could add Shrine, which is a discard for cost to activate, and then it's just once per turn. You can reborn Loci from your graveyard. So I'm wondering how Jess is going to OTK here through 2 defense monsters.
She went first, didn't she? Didn't we figure this out?
Course, yeah. I'm all over the place right now. I'm just really excited. I love this deck so much. It's very hard, but it's really enjoyable. It's very satisfying to play. So this is a huge setup here, actually, just because the Loci is, you know, full combo. This is going to be everything. I wonder if we'll see as good of a field as we did in the last feature match for Plants yesterday. So taking a look at this extra deck, it's, I think, probably going to be Bengal Lancer, the Hypertrion, maybe potentially a Strenna into a Rika Queen plus Con for the sheet. I mean, this deck has just so much power and gas behind it. We'll just have to see what this ends on. And I'm feeling pretty bad for Michael here because I just don't know if that strategy paid off.
It's a big risk, and sometimes you have to take risks, and unfortunately, sometimes I guess they don't work out. It does seem like it's probably something he'll have planned to do to go second. I don't think he's making this up now that if I play against Rick, I'll go second. He's probably tested it and decided this is the best course of action. But yeah, it can feel very bad when you tell your opponent they can go first and they say thank you very much. I'll do my full combo here.
Oh, she hard drew Twin. That's why this was a little bit awkward. Okay, but because you summon it out with the Snowdrop, you can actually just use the effect on summon to bring back the Loci, and now manipulates the level to become level 4 for Strenna.
So makes all of her plant monsters level 4 this time?
Yeah. Yeah, so Twin's effect is when you special summon it off of the Sowing, you form a chain with the Dryas to special summon a monster from your extra deck.
Is it when you take damage?
Yeah, because
sometimes the Sowing does damage.
Yeah, so Sowing deals damage, then instantly heals it, which is kind of strange of how that card works. I wonder what happens at 1,000 life points. Like, do you insta lose or does it gain? I don't know. But yeah, here's Strenna here going through the motions to establish her crazy end field that this is going to be really hard to crack here. So So Michael decided to go second, brought in Cosmic Cyclone, as you can kind of see from his hand there. I suppose the Cosmic is... I feel like it's not amazing, because you can deal with Con contributing for cost, but then you still have to deal with the sheet anyway.
Yeah, it feels like you've got to have quite a lot go right for you, and the Cosmic's got to be like one of those pieces. You've got to kind of half interrupt your opponent so they end with a kind of subpar board, and then that can be like the final blow.
Yeah.
It might be the case that...
Like if it was multiple destruction, like the Duster, for example, or like paired up with Lightning Storm instead of Cosmics, that would be like significantly stronger. I think maybe the Cosmic is played because... I mean, what's the advantage? Like Runic, this format?
I think sometimes you just have cards that you want to side out, so you just find something that's like, okay, and you're like, oh, I'll put that in then. You know,
Yeah.
it's rather than anything like... It's not like something you really want, but you think this is better than, you know, you don't have to side... You don't have to side in cards that are specifically for something, but if you say wanting to side out those enemy controllers, then you're looking for something to put in, then you could be Book of Moon. Cosmic Cyclone.
There's not a lot of decks, I feel like, remaining recently that feel like Rikas on Avalon. You know, it's one of those sort of like all-in pure gas kind of decks that sets up like multiple disruptions. You know, I think like this format we've got...
Samurai,
yeah, I was going to say this format we've got Super Heavy Samurai. Probably not next week as much. But yeah, it's not really... I've always been a fan of these decks. You know,
You like it?
I don't like playing against it, but
I think the mirror matches as well can be a little bit
yeah,
silly,
they're a bit
depending
frustrating.
on who goes first.
Yeah, you know, big Adamantipator fan here personally. You know, love that deck, 10 out of 10. Yeah, there's Malayas for the Lokai getting the really amazing disruption of the Bengal Lancer.
I mean, a bounce, not the best thing against Kashtira.
Potentially, yeah.
They summon a monster, you bounce it, and then they just summon it again.
Not a great monster to have, but, you know, pair it up with the Con, the Hypertrion, the Strenna floating into Teardrop, and the Sheet. You've got a pretty formidable field here.
Yeah, you can't complain.
Digging straight for 6 cards for Michael here. I think we need to... But the thing is, what do we dig for? Ooh, there's Lava Golems in his side deck,
I was wondering, do you have a negate this?
Prosperity? Pull side, I always negate. But, like, what do you negate with?
The Hypertron, right? Is it not
Oh, yeah, we got a spell underneath it, true. Oh, we only went for 3?
3 is...
I feel like you have to go for 6 post-siding.
I'm
Anyway...
a bit confused by that. I was thinking, yeah, post-side you negate in case your opponent rolls over a Dark Ruler, right?
Exactly, right? That's what I would be worried about. She's probably not aware of the fact that he's playing Lava Golem. We don't even know if he sided it in. But that is definitely, like, if I was him, I would want to dig for a Lava Golem. You know?
Yeah, I'm really curious as to why he'd banish only the 3. Like, I can't imagine this game's going to last too many more turns, so you're probably not going to need the whole depth of your extra deck. Maybe it's sort of like a gambit to see, like, if you banish 6, maybe he thinks she'll negate it, and if you banish 3, then she won't. It's like a little like game of chicken somehow.
Yeah.
But I'm
because, like, if you have Dart Ruler, you're going to slam that down anyway, so the negate is, you know, irrelevant. So what else do you, like, potentially hold for? Lightning Storm? What are you afraid of in terms of spells that Kashtira is going to activate against you? Just Engine for Theosis or something?
Maybe you just want to deal with Engine, or maybe you want to hold it as a monster negate.
Oh yeah, I guess it does have the diversity of that, you know, because of the way the functionality of the attachment works on Hypertrion. It's a really cool card. Doesn't really come up often because it feels like it was really just designed for plants, but yeah, I think it is actually a generic rank 9? Is it? I don't know.
Is it not 8? Does it not have to be 8 for Breaker Queen Strenna? Maybe I made that up.
Maybe you did. Maybe I did.
One of those things. This is a lone Scareclaw Kashtira. This is one of the cards where Bengal Lancer is quite relevant against it, because you can only use the effect of Scareclaw Kashtira to summon it once per turn. So once it's gone back to your hand, you can't use it again until next turn.
Special summoning Kashtira monsters, they're all not once per turn, correct? Except specifically Scareclaw?
Exactly. Well, Scareclaw is an effect to summon it, so whereas the other ones are just a condition, so you can just summon it from your hand, whereas Scareclaw, so you can see Michael's kind of holding it in his hand for a minute because it starts a chain. So he's like, I'm activating this effect, and then Jessica has a chance to respond. Whereas like Unicorn, you just put it on the field.
Yeah. And yet, if you consider the fact of Scareclaw being an effect, especially someone like all of the other... Oh, okay, we do have the Theosis there. And, well, it all worked out because I think negating this would be
I mean, Jessica's kind of got spoiled for choice here, right? She couldn't get it with Strenna.
That's the end of the
or Bounce
duel.
and
Wow.
Lancer.